All right. Well, welcome to the first NFL preview video brought to you by Rick McCommon here and George Murdoch. So, George, appreciate you being the first guest on the show today. Today, we're going to talk to you about we're going to do a bit of an NFL season preview. We're going to talk to you about division breakdowns, what our surprises are, who we think is going to win, and any of those relevant rookies within each of that division. Then we're going to jump down and we're going to do a quick match-by-match winner for week one. So who we think is going to win each matchup, a little bit of why on that. So big-time excitement there. And then we're going to do a little fantasy spotlight. So, George, I'm excited you're with me today. Looking forward to it. So with that, we're going to get kicked off. So division breakdowns. George, let's start out in the AFC. Let's start out in the AFC East, your neck of the woods out east. Who do you think's winning the AFC East? What do you got there?
So I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills, and I'm going to go with them for a couple of different reasons. I think Josh Allen has another year under his belt. I think that they have a lot of really good young talent between Zach Moss and between Stephon Diggs. And another year of John Brown, my man John Brown. I felt like in the playoffs last year, Josh Allen was just a little bit not ready for prime time, but another year under his belt is going to definitely be helpful. Another reason why I think it's going to be good for the Bills is because they have a very weak division. The Patriots are good, but they also have the most folks that opted out in the entire league.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's yet to be seen how that's going to affect the team overall, especially with Tom Brady leaving.
Yeah, it's tough to argue with that there. I mean, you think, I'll say it like this. Patriots win that division if and only if Cam Newton finds that MVP Cam Newton, right? Because that MVP Cam Newton can carry a team. But if they don't find MVP Cam Newton, right? If that shoulder's not working, I think you're right. I think Buffalo walks away with it a little bit there. Now, I'm going to take you to task on something here because I'm curious, right? You mentioned some Bills players, and it may have just been an oversight. I like Zach Moss. I like Brown. I like Diggs. I'm on board with all that. Their defense is too much for most teams to handle. There's no doubt about that. You didn't mention Singletary. You think Moss is taking over? You think it's that? Like, I know they like him there. I've heard good things. Is he taking over?
I think Moss has the size. I think he's going to get the goal line carries. Singletary hasn't really impressed me much.
Wow.
There's only enough room for a certain amount of legs in that backfield. Josh Allen is a running back on his own, and
he's
I think Moss is more appropriate to punch the ball in. So I don't know what kind of role Singletary has moving forward.
Interesting. Bold statement number one. And you brought it out early. He's still the starter there, right, on the roster, right? He'll be starting week one. So excited to talk about the Jets and the Bills here in a little bit. What about let's break down the division a little bit further. Jets, just not enough growth out of Darnold. You just don't see it there. Too old maybe outside of Darnold, right? They've got running backs that are about apparently 80 years old combined, give or take.
Well, so they lost a couple of their better receivers.
Sure.
Jamison Crowder can't really stay healthy. They have a couple of young receivers. I think by the name of Mims. If he comes along well, then he's going to be able to be an asset. I think Le'Veon Bell is on the tail end of his journey. I think he's lost a step.
And Frank Gore's 100.
So I think that of anybody to kind of look out for on that team, I think that my person that I think wasn't taken very high in drafts would be Chris Herndon.
Yeah.
I'm pretty high on him this year. He's coming back from being injured. But other than that, they lost Robbie Anderson. Jamison Crowder can't really stay healthy. So it's kind of like, what does that team really have?
Yeah, I can't argue with you there. And then, we got the rookie with Tua there in Miami, and they're still a mess. Like, even after last year's showing, like, they're a mess. And I don't know if Fitzmagic's gonna really be able to do anything there.
Yeah, for me, like there's only a team has to win, a team has to lose. Like if you go through all the schedules, you're going to want to say that everybody's going to be 9-7, everybody's going to be 10-6. There's a lot of really good teams in the league, but ultimately somebody has to be the kid that gets beat up on in the playground.
And
And
the
I think
NFC
the
East,
Dolphins
that
for the
is
first couple
Miami.
years is going to be it.
Tua, hopefully that hip stays healthy for the kid. So, all righty, let's move to the NFC North. We're just going to bring it slowly from the East back over to the West. So NFC North. This is going to be an underrated division. I like Joe Burrow. I mean, he's still some time away. I don't think he's going to pull an Andrew Luck and lead his team to the playoffs week or year one. But I like what they're doing there. They're building something in Cincinnati. They're just probably a year or two away. But who you got in the North?
So one of probably the second least opt-out team, if that's like a verb I can use, is the Steelers. The Steelers are coming back with, and obviously Ben Roethlisberger,
Yeah, Big Ben.
Deontay Thompson
Yes.
is a huge talent. Juju Smith-Schuster, huge talent. Claypool is a kid that is supposedly a freak in nature, and he's just made for end zone targets. Some are saying that Deontay Johnson is going to be the next Antonio Brown. Even it's a lot of hype.
It's bold.
But they were
hopefully with less off-field issues.
They were able to hack it and be 8-8 without Ben Roethlisberger last year and James Conner being hurt a lot.
With Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges.
Yes.
Like, come on.
Throwing up ducks.
Throwing up wounded ducks.
Yes.
Yeah, no. So that's funny. I think the popular pick here is going to be the MVP, right? Reigning MVP and the Ravens all day long. But I'm with you. Like, that Raven team's going to be good, but this is going to be a slugfest, like old school style slugfest in the AFC North. And I'm going to enjoy watching it all season long. It's funny because can Connor stay healthy? That's going to be a big thing. But like, even if he doesn't, like, Jalen Samuels played well the last couple of years. They got Benny Snell Jr. over there in Pittsburgh now. Like, there's some depth there, and Big Ben's got some people to throw the ball to. So if that line can keep him a little bit healthy, like, that's going to be a good football team. They have a formidable defense. And listen, no fans, nobody wants to go play in Pittsburgh. You know, it starts getting later in the year. You start getting that sleet up in Pittsburgh. Nobody wants to go play there. That's not fun. So I like that. That's a sneaky pick. Bold statement number 2. I'm going to go with you. I'm going to go with the Steelers. I still think top fantasy guy in the division, top fantasy is still Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be the big guy, but I'm with you there. I like that. What Ravens make the playoffs then easily as a wild card, right?
They absolutely make the playoffs. They're a little bit younger than the Steelers, at least from like at least from the quarterback level, but they've got some insane talent from a receiver perspective. They just picked up, I believe it's Duvernay.
Yeah.
I might be pronouncing that wrong, but he's a real stud.
Hollywood.
He's
just running around everywhere out there.
I was big on Justice Hill last year, and then they go and they pick up J.K. Dobbins, who is an absolute jitterbug. So they're going to be scary this year.
Playing with Ingram, who still got some juice left in those legs. That team can bruise you. There's no doubt there's going to be a lot of running the ball. If you can't stop the run, the Ravens might put up 400 yards on you. Like, it's because they're just going to hand the ball off a lot. And that's not to say that Lamar can't throw it. We learned last year he can. That's going to be a formidable team. And they're going to look to control clock with that defense for sure.
And another sleeper with Pittsburgh is Eric Ebron.
Yeah, Ebron, Colts fan. I saw him. If he's got a good quarterback, he can put up some numbers. He's a big end zone target. So maybe he brings those Andrew Luck hands with him. You know what I mean? So, yeah, bring those Andrew Luck hands, you know. So Big Ben could definitely be throwing up some targets there. I like that. That's a nice sleeper pick because I don't think he's going to get – I mean, he can't block. He's not a blocking tight end. But if you're looking for a guy to go out there and run some routes and do some seams, like, he's a big body. He gets his hands up well. As long as he can catch, he'll be in the mix for some TD love there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, just picture Juju at the line of scrimmage and Deontay Thompson, Claypool, and Ebron being in the end zone. It's gonna be hard to
Somebody's
guard.
yeah, exactly. Throw it up. Somebody's gonna go get it. There's no doubt about it. Especially with those. Oh, seems like everybody's moving to these cornerbacks now that are like 5'10", and it's like, what are you doing? You know, you just got to let the little hide as wide receiver and catch the ball. I like it. I like your pick there. Okay, I like the Steelers pick there. We're gonna move down to the AFC South, my division, my Colts. I'm hoping for a lot of good things there. What do you tell me about the South? What do you think?
So the South is interesting because you want to say the Texans are really looking good. Deshaun Watson is really expected to take a step forward. But because COVID is the way it is, there's a lot of pieces there that either have been have an injury past or just weren't with the team last year, like David Johnson, for instance. We have a lot hanging on David Johnson to be able to be who all he can be. We're hanging a lot on Brandon Cooks. Is he going to be able to fill the hole that DeAndre Hopkins left when he left the organization? So there's a lot of question marks. Tennessee was absolutely money in the bank down to the wire in that division, and we're going to see if the Colts and their young receiver talent combined with Ty, who is still a pretty damn good receiver, and Philip Rivers can have another go at it.
You got to pick a winner now. You gave me
Uh,
three. Can't be all
yeah,
three. Like you said, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose.
I'm thinking Tennessee.
You think it's Tennessee. All
Hmm.
right, so you think Ryan Tannehill that it wasn't just a 1 year lucky thing. You think Ryan
No,
Tannehill's for real?
he's got some great receivers. He's got some great running backs. He's the one sleeper I could talk about with Tennessee is I think that I heard some reports that Darrington Evans could potentially be a what is it, a Kamara light, and I know that's crazy, but just imagine if that's the case, like what kind of
Yeah.
folks they could pass to.
Yeah, no, there's hey, Tennessee's got some talent on that team. Jonnu Smith, that tight end is a load, and if he comes around a little bit to kind of take the shoes of the you know Delanie Walker, may his NFL career rest in peace. The perpetually broken ankle of Delanie Walker. So if Jonnu Smith can make some noise there, AJ Brown is obviously no slouch. So there's definitely some talent in Tennessee. I'm gonna disagree with you. So far I've been with you. I'm gonna go Homer pick. I'm gonna take my Colts. Honestly, I think with Jay Taylor, my boy Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, that 1-2 punch is going to be too much behind that load of an offensive line. I think that's the best offensive line in the league, and so I think that's going to be the big difference maker. I think Houston. I think you're right, man. Like there's no doubting the talent that is Deshaun Watson, but they've never given him a line. Like he just gets beat up year after year after year. And coming from a guy who's an Andrew Luck fan, I know what that looks like and what it does to a quarterback. I've seen it. You got rid of his best weapon that he was super comfortable with, and you replaced him with David Johnson, a guy who, if you go look at the numbers, like everybody thinks David Johnson was this, like David Johnson was the guy for 1 year. He was the man in Arizona, and he has one season. He was the man. I went back and looked at it, one season, and he's been injured, had issues ever since. And so he's still treading on that one season. And it's like, man, I don't know that David Johnson's the winner. Cooks, like I remember he was great in a couple different places, and he hasn't really, he was good way back in the day. Am I right with saying it was the Saints he was good with back in the day? Was that
He
where
was
he
good with the Saints, and he was also a pretty darn good Patriot.
was he a good Patriot? I don't remember him being great with the Patriots, but he went to the Rams obviously, and it just never really came together there. And maybe Goff has something to do with that. I don't know, but maybe the fact that they just gave the ball to Gurley 400 times a year. But it's kind of crazy to see what I don't know. I don't know what the Houston leadership is thinking there because they had DeAndre Hopkins he's only 28 years old, and you just got rid of one of the best receivers in the NFL. for spare
Since
parts.
you're a Colts homer, here's the question for you. Receiver with the most catches by the end of the year.
Colt, it'll be Ty. Yeah, it'll be Ty. I think Paris Campbell will do a good job. I think if he stays healthy, he'll have a nice comeback year. If we're talking specifically a receiver with the most catches, Ty. If you're asking me which player has the most catches, it might be Naheem Hines.
Oh,
So it might, if we just go player strictly, which player has the most catches, might be Naheem Hines. They love him as a third down back. They're going to run him out there, especially in those 2-minute drill situations. He does a good job he does a good job recognizing blitz and pass blocking. And we've seen it. We know Rivers loves to dump it off to a receiver here and there. So I think Naheem Hines is actually, he's a sleeper pick for me a little bit to have a good. If you've got a PPR league and you haven't drafted yet, go get Naheem Hines. He's going to be a good pick. So interesting question. I like that one. That'll be my sleeper for that. And then relevant rookies, Jonathan Taylor, easily for me the biggest rookie in that division.
yep. And then for Jacksonville, I believe that Shenault is getting a lot of buzz.
A lot of press on that kid. Yeah, I've heard good things about him. I don't know. Shark is obviously still there, and man, my mind's blanking. But they got another receiver that got, I don't know, like 90 targets last year. So we'll see how much.
Westbrook.
Yeah, Westbrook. So didn't catch them all, but that's probably not his fault. So Minshew Mania, we'll see how that goes one more year. Notice that was the only, we barely brought up Jacksonville. The reason is they're a mess. So that's what happens when you are a mess. You don't get brought up. So ask Miami about it. So here's the question: over under wins for Jacksonville. I'm going to set it at 4.
I'm going to go 4 is close. I'm going to go with 3.
I'm going to go under. Okay.
Just because strong division.
It's a strong division, and they're just a mess. It's a fire sale. Get rid of everybody.
You're playing Tennessee in your division, and they used to have, Mariota as their starting quarterback. So it's going to be exponentially harder to get a win off of them. And plus, with it's a fire sale on defense with the Jaguars. So they're going to be throwing the ball all year, and they're never going to really catch up because they're not as talented as the other folks are.
Yeah, what I'll tell you, if you've got a league that doesn't penalize you for interceptions, Minshew's not a bad quarterback to have because they're just going to be chucking that ball all over the field.
It might be Blake Bortles all over again.
Hey, it worked one season. Remember that AFC title game 1 year, and they almost won that game. How crazy is that? Blake Bortles almost went to a Super Bowl, guys. Let's just put that in there. Just remember that. All right. So we're going to finish it up in the AFC South. Out there in the AFC West, we've got some teams that are they're a mess out there. I think San Diego is just a mess in the West. Tyrod Taylor. Hopefully Justin Herbert doesn't have to play behind that line. Yeah, they're bad. So tell me what you think about the AFC West. Who do you think is going to take it?
Well, it's undoubtedly going to be the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
They're the reigning champions.
Reigning Super Bowl champs. Yes, sir.
They have a ton of talent. They have Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's going to be lighting the world on fire, or if he doesn't, everybody's going to be really upset when they took him in the first round. That team was strong before they even had Hardman come along and be what he needs to be and get an extra year of at bat.
Yeah.
Before they actually even had a running back that was really, you could really hang your hat on. So I definitely think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to take it. I think the Raiders are going to probably stay the same. Even though they have a lot of really great young talent, it's still young talent. As well as I think the Broncos, similar things could be said. They're in a different part of rebuilding than the Chiefs are.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that. I think I if both the Broncos and Raiders went 8-8, it wouldn't shock me. If they both went 7-9, it wouldn't shock me. I think Kansas City not only runs away with that division, but will be the 1 seed in the AFC. Partially because the division's not, nobody in that division can challenge them. They may win every game in that division. So if you go undefeated in your division, it's hard not to see you as a top seed in the conference. So I'm with you there. Who will have? So you kind of mentioned one of the rookies. I got to ask this: who's going to be? Well, Edward Hilaire, will he be better than Kareem Hunt was in Kansas City?
Yes.
Oh, okay, that's bold. You saw Hunt just got an extension there with Cleveland. So
yeah, I think he'll be better.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think he'll be. That's all right. I think he'll be better because Mahomes is going to be more comfortable in his skin, and he's going to have more talent around him to throw to from a wide receiver perspective. And from Travis Kelce is, we may not remember this, but 4 or 5 years ago, Travis Kelce wasn't Travis Kelce. He was just an up and coming tight end. So a lot of parts around him, and they're going to take advantage of those parts. Andy Reid and his offense.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I mean, that team is so stacked. Now, the one, I think they will be the 1 seed. I think come playoff time, they're going to struggle a little more this year. I think they've. I'm still not sold on that defense, and we'll see what happens. But especially when you're not feeling as big a challenge in your own division, and you get hit in the mouth come playoff time, especially should they find their way. Like I'm envisioning a wild card matchup between, or not a wild card, but a second round matchup between, we kind of mentioned like Baltimore out there. So that team in Baltimore who's willing just to hit you in the face over and over and over again, playing Kansas City in a divisional round, like that's a tough game to come hit head on. And so especially that team with that defense in Baltimore, it's not like the old school Ray Lewis defenses, but that team still likes to hit you hard. And so that could be interesting. I could also see them struggling against a similarly tough team like Buffalo in the playoffs, right? So those are two teams, especially it gets cold in Kansas City in January, especially when you're coming to Kansas City in January, it's freezing cold and you're trying to air the ball out all over the field, and these teams are just trying to run it down your throat and hit you hard. So those could be some interesting matchups come playoff time. So we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's stick out in the West. Let's stick out in the West and move to the AFC, or excuse me, the NFC. NFC West. Now, a lot of times you see a Super Bowl hangover for that team that lost. Is that happening to the Niners here? Are the Seahawks going to take advantage? What do we got going on here?
So what I like the Niners for a lot of the reasons. I feel like whatever they've lost by letting certain assets go, like Emmanuel Sanders. They've got Brandon Ayuk now, who's a really great young talent. They've got a lot of really great running backs to the point where it's they've got Jerick McKinnon's coming back, and he's a really great natural pass catcher. And just overall, Jimmy G knows how to command the offense. He knows how to do just enough to get it done. He also has the tendency to explode at times, like when it's needed. I remember quite a bit of like 40 to 50 scores between him and the Saints last year. It's going to be fun to watch, and just I think Seattle is just maybe about a year or two too soon to be able to really put a dent in that.
I think so. I think that the defense in San Francisco is going to take a step back. They traded away Buckner, right, to the Colts, and I think they're going to feel that. And I know they had some guys, but I think they're going to feel that. I do like Ayuk, but a lot of times those rookie wide receivers, you just for whatever reason don't see them that first year, right? It takes a little while for them to speed up, catch up to the game sometimes. And that wouldn't shock me if that was a scenario that happens to him. I think if Pete Carroll, man, if he just lets Russell Wilson off the chain a little bit and lets him go, I think I think that's a recipe for Seattle really contending there. I could see that happening. I also, man, we'll see what happens with Kyler Murray too, here in Arizona, and we'll see what that team can do, because that's another team that I think could sneak up on some people. That defense is very formidable. They're good defense, and man, like they have DeAndre Hopkins is out there now. I'm not super sold on Kenyon Drake for a season, but like he had some good games last year, and I think Chase Edmonds backing him up is a good, like that kid is a stud, and he's got some pep in his step. So I don't know that I could. I mean, man, this is a tough. I think this, my opinion, this is the toughest division in the NFC. Could be wrong. I think this is the toughest division in the NFC. I think there's some good defense out there, and there's some teams that know how to play football. And you have the differentiation there in Arizona of Cliff Kingsbury just being willing to chuck that ball all over the field at random and at will. And so again, if you've got a fantasy league where they don't compile interceptions, Kyler Murray is a great pick, because Cliff's going to have him airing it out. So it'd be interesting to see what happens there. Since I have to take someone, I'm going to write it down. I'm recording it right now. Arizona Cardinals. I wasn't prepared to take them beforehand, but I'm taking the Cardinals for the NFC West. I'm writing you down for the Niners. Yeah.
Niners, 100%.
Niners. Okay.
The Rams are going to finish in 4th place.
I think the Rams are, man, what a quick fall from grace. But like we just talked about, that Super Bowl hangover can happen to you. It can absolutely happen to a team. So we'll see. But I'll agree with you. I think that's the spot we agree on. Rams finish last. Who's the rookie to look out for? You mentioned Ayuk. Are you sticking with that? Is that your guy?
No, I think in that case you have to go with the rookie on the Rams. The running
Cam
back
Akers?
there. Yeah.
Okay.
Cam Akers is going to be the one to look out for, because he is the replacement in the heir apparent to Todd Gurley.
Yeah, they drafted Henderson last year, and he never really looked good carrying the ball, although the kid is quick. And then they've had I think Malcolm Brown for a while now, and I just don't know that he's going to be doing anything either. So I think I would tend to agree with you. It's Cam Akers is probably going to be the running back to look out for in down there. So surprises in the AFC West. The Cardinals to win the division. You heard it here first. All right, let's move to the NFC South. I think another good division. What do you got for me?
NFC South, I think that it's going to be another team that really hasn't seen a ton of. It's going to be tough. Like, I think this is probably the toughest division that's there. I'm going Saints.
You're gonna take the Saints, okay?
I'm going Saints, but the Falcons are also another team that, if everything breaks right, they are the healthiest team coming into this year that's worked together the longest. Todd Gurley aside, but just from a receiver perspective and a receiver talent perspective,
Ridley and Julio Jones is formidable anywhere.
Really excited about those folks. But New Orleans, they have a great defense. It looks like they're going to get Kamara under contract in the near future, and that's going to pay dividends. They have Emmanuel Sanders, who could be potentially a really great number 2 for Michael Thomas. So there's just a lot to like about the Saints.
Yeah, that defense is for real. There's no doubt about it. Man, I don't want to do it, but I feel like I have to. You know what I'm saying here. I'm going to take Tommy Terrific out there in Tampa with Bruce Arians just airing out the ball.
So I
got to do it.
They finished 7-9. Just, do you think, like, if Tom Brady was on that team last year, what do you think the record would have been?
I think I legitimately think they could have been at least 11-5. How many? And for me, it boils down to the turnovers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That defense is going to be inherently better. And I don't think it's a great defense. Don't get me wrong. But that defense is going to be inherently better because they're not going to be on the field constantly because of the. I mean, how many interceptions did Jameis have? It was 20 plus. I don't remember the exact quantity, but it was a ton. You throw that many interceptions, you are putting your defense down for hurting all the time. And I think Tom Brady, don't get me wrong, I don't think Gronk is going to be out there having a Gronk-like season, but it's another target, somebody else they have to pay attention to. I actually think that helps O.J. Howard finally become relevant because I think O.J. Howard's a talent and Jameis Winston just doesn't know how to use him. I think if Brady still has arm left, we're going to see it because Bruce Arians will throw that ball all over the field. And Godwin, Evans, and they've got receivers for days beneath them. I went out, and granted it was against the Colts, but I went out to the Colts-Tampa game in Tampa last year. And those receivers just come in waves, and they don't stop. And having Tom Brady have that kind of weaponry that he's never really had in his career, I think that's a huge difference maker. We saw Peyton do it in Denver. That's all I'm saying. We saw Peyton do it in Denver, and I think Tom can do it in Tampa. And I think that's a huge differentiator. So I'm gonna give the Bucs my love. Write them down as the winners of the AFC South. Write it down so we can talk about it in our wrap up. 3 months from now, 4 months from now. So, biggest surprise in the division.
Biggest surprise in the division, I believe, is Fournette.
Yeah, he could.
I think he changes things with Tampa. I think he has a chance at least. What's the ceiling to have a LeGarrette Blount type situation where he just pounds the ball into the end zone time and time again?
Well, and he's an underrated receiver too.
Yeah, I've done about 7 fantasy leagues so far, and if I get drafts, I should say, and if I get Tampa Bay as my defense, I'm a happy man. They're the defense I think is going to make the most moves this year.
I think you're, again, just having somebody that's not going to give away the ball constantly is going to be a difference maker for them. Man, my biggest surprise. Here's what I'll tell you. I think my biggest surprise will be this year. I'm gonna go to Atlanta, and I'm going to tell you that Calvin Ridley will have a better year than Julio Jones.
That's big.
That's my surprise. I think that's Calvin Ridley's. I think this is his year to take that next step. So
you think he's going to usurp him?
I think this is it. I think this is the year. I remember when it happened in Indy when Reggie did it to Marvin, and I think this is about that. This is what you're going to see happen. So we'll see. And that's obviously assuming that they're all healthy all year long and all those different things. A lot can happen, especially with those fragile ankles of Julio Jones. So we'll see. All right, good man. The NFC is going to be fun to watch this year. There's a lot going on down there. What do you? Let's take it to the NFC North. What do you got?
NFC North, I'm going Packers all the way.
Got the Pack.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to argue with. That team's going to run the ball down everyone's throat.
With a healthy Devontae Adams and finding some way of having a second receiver to support him in there, and just to your point, just literally Aaron Jones time, running the ball down the other team's throats.
They have Jones, they have Jamal Williams who can run the ball, and they took that kid AJ Dillon, who you don't use a second round pick on a guy for him to sit on the bench all year, and that dude's almost 250 pounds. So they get inside the 5, you're going to get a healthy batch of run the damn ball, and he's just going to be chugging in. Square them pads, get low and go, baby. So I'm with you there. Plus, that defense is very good.
Oh yeah.
The defense is very good. So,
And Aaron Rodgers, that was an off year last year. Just imagine if he has
so
all of his like all those young receivers he's got has another year of like at bats and growth. Plus
there's
they took a nice little tight end as a rookie that could develop into
yeah.
something really special.
Therein lies my concern though is Rodgers, and it's not that I think Rodgers is over, but I think there is palpable tension between him and the coach, and I think if there's any like that doesn't look good. That's we'll see, right? And I think winning cures a lot of those things, right? You win some games, and all of a sudden everybody shuts up and plays football. So maybe that's what happens there. But anybody starting Mitchell Trubisky isn't going to win any games. Not that you care about. Anybody, I like what the Lions have done, but it's still the Lions, so that's always a problem. And I like where the Vikings are too. I think the Vikings or Lions, either one. Like I wouldn't be shocked to see them as a wild card team. But I'm with you. I think the Packers win that division. Who's your rookie to watch?
Rookie to watch is going to be Swift.
Yeah, I'm with you there, DeAndre Swift. How long do you think it'll take for him to be the lead back over Kerryon Johnson?
Well, Adrian Peterson as well.
Well, we talked about Adrian last week.
Yeah.
And I love AP, but come on now. He's the goal line back, right?
Yeah. So
where the pads get low and go, churn, plod.
So it's possible they brought him in just to be a veteran voice in the locker room, but at the same time, that didn't work really well with the Saints with Kamara and Adrian Peterson and who was the other fellow again?
Was it Latavius Murray?
No, the guy in the Ravens now. Mark Ingram.
Oh yeah.
Three of those together didn't go well.
Didn't go well.
Adrian Peterson was crying away.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. We'll see. He didn't seem to mind doing it. I mean, he got some carries, but he wasn't wasn't AP time in Washington. It'll be interesting to see what he does there. Over under 5 touchdowns for AP this year.
Under.
Okay. Biggest surprise?
I'm gonna go with TJ Hawkinson.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The Iowa kid.
I'm gonna say he takes a step up, and he is he takes a step closer to being a George Kittle or a Travis Kelce.
Okay.
Inconsistent
I like it.
last year, but what tight end is consistent in their first year?
Yeah. You think Noah Fant will do the same in Denver? Their Iowa kid, same draft.
It's what the same adage with receivers. Like when you're drafting for fantasy, you should take a lot of second-year receivers because inevitably 1 or 2 of them are going to hit, and they're going to hit big. I think tight ends, maybe like 3 or 4 years. I don't feel like that they come along as quickly as a wide receiver does, because I just flat out just don't think they don't get as much touches.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to the South real quick and let you know I think Ian Thomas will be a tight end to watch there. Ian Thomas, tight end to watch out of Carolina. Anyway, I like it. I like all of it. I'm with you on Swift. I think my big surprise, I think I'm going to call it here. I think the Lions make the playoffs as a wild card team. I think they sneak in. So that's where I'm going to go there. I think that's my surprise pick. I think they go there. I like what they've done with that offense, and that defense not great. They're not the Bears, right? But I think they're good enough. I'd also tell you that if the Bears can find some guts and not start Trubisky and start Nick Foles, and Nick Foles can also stay healthy, that defense is good enough to carry them if they just stop turning the ball over. So that's another one that we could see be okay. I don't think they're making the playoffs. They could ruin some other teams' chances. All right, let's go to the East. The old AFC East with all the rivalries. Who you got?
For
Sorry,
the
NFC
NFC
East, but
East,
yeah, the NFC East
I
with all
would
the
go with
rivalries.
Dallas.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm with you.
they they missed a lot of opportunities last year to really run away with the division. They let the Eagles hang in there long enough and let the Eagles just straight up beat them. Um, and Carson Wentz had a lot to do with that. Uh, the Eagles, they have a lot of really good young talent. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of that really good young talent is starting the year on the IR or are a little bit banged up. I would look at Deshaun Jackson as being a major part of the Eagles' um, playbook in the very beginning of the year. But I just think Dallas just added too much. They added a new coach. They added accountability. They added CeeDee Lamb, who I think is going to be great. Blake Jarwin, I think, is going to take a major step up now that Jason Witten's out of his hair.
Yep.
So I'm going Dallas. They have these one of the softer divisions, the NFC East, just because the
The football
Washington
team, yeah, yeah,
football team and the New York Giants are just kind of easy to beat up on.
bad. Yeah, they're bad. I'm with you. I think yeah, the Cowboys should. You're right though. It's hard to pick the Cowboys because they were the most talented team last year in that division and they didn't win it. But I'm with you. I think Dak has a bounce back year. Not that he had an awful year last year, but I think he has a good year. And I think with Zeke and Lamb and all of that, I think that's a spot where I think they win. I think their defense turns a little bit of a corner and plays a little bit better too. Um, who's your surprise or who's your rookie there? Let's start there. Who's your rookie to watch?
Rookie to watch is Antonio Gibson.
Antonio Gibson. Somebody's been reading the draft wires.
Yeah, I super upset whenever I missed him in my drafts because I just think he has the potential to be electric.
Yeah, yeah. Kid's got pop. He's got some electricity. So I'm with you a little bit there. Okay, biggest surprise. Well, I'm gonna go away from you a little bit. I think Gibson's gonna be great. I think, and I know I just said I don't take receivers in their rookie year, but I think CeeDee Lamb's gonna be sneaky there in Dallas. If he stays healthy, I think he'll be sneaky there in Dallas because there's so many weapons, right? You gotta account for Cooper and you gotta account for Gallup, and I think CeeDee Lamb could kind of fly under the radar and have a pretty good year for a rookie.
I think that's fair. I just think that there's going to be a lot of mouths to feed. I know Dak is going to have one heck of a year, and
If he doesn't, then everyone's pissed.
the most he's ever finished is like the top, like maybe number 10 in PPR. So he's just from a fantasy perspective. If anybody here watching this is into fantasy like we are, he's definitely going to be an attractive person to look towards there. Um, just a lot of talent. Like another one I would like to like maybe highlight is Jalen Reagor. He's
Yeah,
he if he can get healthy, he is a game changer. And then Miles Sanders, like easily watched a lot of professional opinions on it, and a lot of folks think that Miles Sanders has an outside shot of being a Christian McCaffrey type.
wow. Now, see, oddly enough, I've heard that about Gibson, so we'll see.
Hmm
A lot
Everybody's
of,
looking for the next Christian McCaffrey.
yeah. Well, there's only one. All right, interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. All right, now let's go rapid fire through this. I'm gonna give you the teams that are playing. You tell me who's gonna win and why week one matchups. Ready?
Yep.
All right, let's roll. Texans Chiefs. Who you got?
I'm going Chiefs for the same reason I said before. The Texans just have too many parts that are brand new, and it's a really weird year.
Yep, I'm there with you. You look at the matchups there. The Chiefs win every one along the board, right? They've got receivers, they've got quarterbacks, they've got running backs. Like they've got that game. So I'm with you there. All right, on to Sunday's games. Man, Thursday night, it's coming, George. On to Sunday's games. Jets Bills. Who you got?
Oh, I'm going Bills all the way, man.
Bills.
The Jets, they have a lot of really young talent, and then they also have folks like Le'Veon Bell. At the end of the day, Sam Darnold lost a lot of time with his team last year, and
Yep,
they
the
didn't
mono.
quite make it back.
Yep. Nope. I am there. I'm there with you. I've got the Bills going away. That defense is just too much for the Jets. Packers at the Vikings. Our first kind of tough pick of the day, right? This is a bit of a toss 'em up. Who you got?
I'm going Packers. I'm going for a lot of the same reasons. Feel like the Vikings they lost Stephon Diggs, so they're going to be relying on rookie talent a lot more than they would want to. Um, uh, or just Irv Smith as well. It's just a lot of really really young players. And the consistency is not there, especially when you're factoring in the pack. They had a great record last year. They didn't do anything to hurt themselves, and if anything, they made themselves better.
Yeah. I'm going to take the Vikings at home in this one. So I'm going to go a little bit different. Great D all around here. I think they both have good defenses. I like Thielen to maybe have a bit of a game in this one. We'll see. Man, it's just two teams that are going to try to run the ball and beat you up. But I like the Vikings at home. So should be a good rivalry. Should be one that you still, even without the fans, right, in this COVID world, you still feel the electricity there a little bit. So, all right, we're moving to the NFC South. We got the Eagles versus the Washington football team. Who you got?
I got the Eagles getting it done.
Eagles going away, right? Like it's not even a contest, right? Okay, we won't. The Eagles because they're good and Washington's not. That's why.
And Washington has a very very young nucleus.
Here's the thing: I think their defense is good. I think Haskins is hot garbage, and I don't think he's ever going to not be hot garbage. Maybe I'm a dick. I don't know. That's how I view it. So I'm going Eagles all day there.
They find a way to get it done.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you got to. That's a team that won Super Bowl with a backup quarterback over Coach Hoodie. Come on now. Browns, Ravens. Who you got?
Ravens all day.
All day long. Too much offense for the Browns and way too much defense for the Browns. Hopefully Baker Mayfield doesn't get too upset there. Colts,
That being said, I
Jags.
like the Browns this year, but I just think the Ravens are just going to overwhelm them.
Yeah, so I don't
They're
disagree.
better on all aspects.
I think the Browns have a comeback year compared to last year. Colts, Jags.
Colts, Jags, Colts all the way.
Colts all the way, right? Gardner Minshew and no defense. So not to mention that Colt defense, like that's going to be a good defense this year. Raiders, Panthers. Who you got?
Raiders, Panthers. I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Going Raiders. Wow.
I'm going Raiders. They have a lot of really sneaky talent. They have really solid depth with some of the rookie receivers. Brian Edwards is going to be really good. I don't know how quickly that materializes, but the Raiders have a tendency to be able to keep in the game really, really late, and I think that they're going to pull this one off.
I'm going to count on Christian McCaffrey to do what he does. I think Teddy Bridgewater is actually a pretty decent quarterback if he can keep his chicken legs healthy. And so I think I'm going to take the Panthers here. And I think I like the Panthers here. Yeah, that's where I'm going to stick it. Plus, I like the rookie coach, little Matt Rule action out there in Carolina. So, Bears, Lions. Who you got?
Going Bears.
Going Bears. Uh-oh. I'm different on you again. So I said it a second ago, and this one's I shouldn't say easy for me. I think it's a bit of a toss-up. But anytime someone's starting Trubisky, like I'm just saying you're probably not going to win that football game.
You think they're going to have to lose a few to really get
to move the
in the right place with Foles?
Well, the coaching staff doesn't want Trubisky. I have no idea why they're not starting Foles. I don't know what's going on out there, but unless Trubisky can figure out what made him not one of the worst quarterbacks in the league, a couple years ago, like then yeah, the Bears. I get it. That defense is for real. There's no doubt about it. But you're not going to be very good with a guy back there that can't throw. And I know they want to ground and pound it, but like they don't. They just don't have a line that can. If you know they're going to ground and pound it, they don't have a line that's going to be able to do it anyway. So
Yeah, and I also think that there's a lot of really decent talent with the Bears wide receiver core. Like Allen
yeah,
Robinson just kind of proved to be the person that everybody thought he was back when he was with
with us, yeah,
Jacksonville. And just thinking about it from a perspective, Anthony Miller looked like he took a lot of really
yeah.
big steps forward. And the guy that should be the gray-haired veteran there, Ted Ginn Jr. is also there for some.
Teddy Ginn Jr. is there, and he
Yeah,
will certainly be the gray-haired veteran.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to Seahawks Falcons. Who you got?
So this one's a little bit more difficult because Falcons have the home field advantage. I'm going to go Falcons, but it's close.
I actually said the same tricky pick, and I think I'm just going to favor that Falcons defense hasn't been good, and I think I'm just going to count on Russell Wilson going off, and I think DK Metcalf is too much, and Lockett is too much. Carson's going to run for 1,000 yards again this year, and I think when Rashad Penny returns, to kind of give him that 1-2 punch in the backfield, I think that's going to be a difference maker too. I mean, let's not forget too, like they have Carlos Hyde sitting on the bench there too. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a huge fan of Carlos Hyde. That's a veteran, knows how to play some football, and can definitely get the job done between the tackles before Penny comes back. So I think that's a team that I think will be good going into the future as well.
Well, in both teams, you could totally picture, like if somebody like woke you up a month from now and they're like, "What?" and you're like, "What happened?" But anyway, somebody woke you up from a month from now and they both are 0 and 4.
You wouldn't
You
be,
wouldn't
yeah,
necessarily not believe that because those are two teams that really come through when at the end of the year.
yeah. No,
So
I
somebody's got to
agree.
win, somebody's got to lose, unless they tie.
It is the NFL. Dolphins, Pats. You got the Pats here, right?
I got the Pats, but probably not as much by as much as you would think.
For whatever reason, the Dolphins always play the Pats tough too. Maybe when that game's in Miami, I've got it a little bit different. But yeah, I've got the Pats here going away.
So Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think, is going to put a fight. He's going to fight as hard as he can. He's going to make it a game. Patriots, I think a lot of people are just assuming that they're going to be really good. They got to kind of prove it. N'Keal Harry, let's see. Like he was a stud coming out of college, and like let's
He
see if he could actually step up and be that
he
goal
ended
line
the
threat that
season
he's
last
supposed to
year.
be.
He ended the season last year pretty decent. So had a couple decent games for a guy that was really just kind of part time in it. You know what I mean? So I like that. I had him in a dynasty league last year that like I was like, okay, I started to see, and I kept him, and I'm counting on him to have a good year and really have some rapport with Cam. So we'll see again. I mean, all of this is all dependent on Cam's arm not being a noodle. All right, Chargers, Bengals, the battle of suck. What do you got?
I got the Chargers.
You got the Chargers. Um, it's it's hard for me because I think these are two teams that are bad, um, like really bad, and I just I don't know who to pick. Ultimately, I went with the Bengals. They're at home. I think with Joe Burrow at the helm, they're gonna look to run the ball a lot with Joe Mixon. They have a decent O line, not great, but decent, and a decent defense. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna take the Chargers O line not playing that well. Why are you going with the Chargers?
I feel like that the Bengals with starting a rookie quarterback, there's very few quarterbacks to win the first game that they're
That's true.
in their rookie year. I'm going to lean on the Chargers a little bit more. I feel like that they've got a lot of talent on the offensive side of the ball as well as decent sneaky talent on the defensive side. So I'm going Chargers all the way.
I'll tell you my quick surprise on this. I think Austin Eckler is going to have a terrible year because I think everybody's just going to say we're stopping you and making sure that Tyrod Taylor has to throw the ball because that's a recipe for beating that team.
Who is his backup there?
So Justin Jackson, I think is his name, is one of them.
Right.
And
But
then I think they have a rook.
sneakily enough, there is a rookie that they drafted
Yeah,
named
like the
Josh
second or
Kelly.
third round, Josh Kelly. Yeah. So I don't know. I just not to mention Eckler's going to get hit hard this year because again they don't have a guy that can throw the football. So he's got that 5'9", 180-pound body that is not built for running between the tackles. So we'll see what happens there. It ought to be an interesting year to see what happens in L.A., San Diego, whatever country.
Mhm.
All right, Niners at home versus the Cardinals, who I just picked to win the NFC South. West,
Niners.
excuse me. You got the Niners. You know what? I'm taking the Niners too. I still think the Cardinals win that division by the end of the year, but Niners at home playing with some spunk after coming out of the Super Bowl. I'm taking the Niners. Bucks, Saints,
Saints.
Saints. Just don't think. I think Tom Terrific again. I think they end up winning that division, but
I
playing
feel
on the
like they get
road.
Kamara's deal done before that game, and
I think Kamara's playing anyway. He's already practicing again, so I'm not worried about
yeah,
that.
but like Drew between Drew Brees being completely healthy and having an off season to get right, Michael Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and
Yeah,
Kamara, forget it.
yeah, yeah. That team's going to be good. Cowboys, Rams. We
I'm
got
going Cowboys.
Cowboys. I'm with you. I think the Rams are going to have a rough year this year.
They better win the
I think the
Cowboys
Rams are
because
in. I agree because the Rams suck.
this is the kind of game that they should be winning.
Steelers, Giants.
Steelers all day.
Too much Big Ben, right? Big Ben coming back, throwing the ball well. Too many weapons. We talked about it in the division. Too many weapons for the Steelers.
Hmm.
All right, Titans and Broncos. Monday night.
I'm going Titans.
Yeah, I'm going Titans too. The QB situation, like I'm just not sold on Drew Lock. That's kind of my biggest stopper. I think Denver's defense is good, and I think they have some weapons on offense. I think Noah Fant could have a good year.
Yeah,
I just don't trust Lock yet.
you got yourself Jerry Judy, who is
Yeah,
playing his first ever game. Noah Fant is, and then you've got yourself the whole Mel Gordon situation. Like, what kind of role is he going to have? What kind
yeah.
of shared backfield is that going to be?
It could. That's good. I think a lot of interesting things could be happening there in Bronco land. So interesting. Well, I marked down all of our picks. We'll talk about them next week. We'll see who was right, who was wrong.
All right.
All right. So fantasy spotlight. Who is all year 2020? Who's your biggest sleeper?
Biggest sleeper all year. I'm going to go with Gibson if that's enough of a sleeper.
Yeah, it's funny. So I actually have written here. I had Gibson here, and thought like, well, now that AP's been released and everybody's like waking up, like, oh, who is this guy? Like, it's hard to say I'm going to keep Gibson there. So I'm with you. I had Gibson. I said, okay, I'm going to go away from him. I'm going to take Paris Campbell in Indianapolis as my
Ooh, homer
as
pick.
my as my sleeper. A little bit, but man, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me he's not going to have a good year. You know what I mean? If
He's
Rivers can throw
going
the
to have a
ball,
good
he'll have
year.
a year.
He's going to have one heck of a year.
All right, who's your rookie to look out for? You're not
Well,
going Gibson back to back, are you?
Gibson will be boring, so I'm going to go with Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Tate. Wow, picking my guy.
I think he's
Um,
I think he's a stud. And anytime I didn't get him in a draft, I was really upset afterwards. He has the ability. I got one team. I got Jonathan Taylor, and I got Zeke Elliott, and it potentially could be the exact same player.
your lips to God's ears, my friend. Your lips to God's ears. Okay, I'm gonna go. You said you're gonna go boring. You weren't gonna go boring um, with Gibson. I am going to go boring here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's too much in Kansas City, and I know that's the obvious pick for a rookie to look out for. But like, if there's an obvious pick, sometimes you just got to take it. And I think he's going to be a stud. If I had to pick a sleeper rookie, getting all wild on you here, sleeper rookie, J.K. Dobbins. If I had a dynasty league, that's a guy I'd definitely be looking out for, because if he stays and makes an impact in Baltimore, you know how they like to run the ball. And Ingram's legs aren't getting any younger. So I think that's a guy that like future state. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm with you with Jay Taylor, but I think those are both good spots to be if you're going to pick a dynasty kind of running back at this spot.
The reason why I'm nervous about J.K. Dobbins is I had the same feelings about Justice Hill last year.
Yeah.
I was all about him. He was at the bottom end of my that Mr. Irrelevant pick in the 15th round, and I was all in on him. He's still got that talent. He's still there, so it's one of those situations where
too many cooks might be there.
Listen, man, like there's a lot of talent. Like all you really need is somebody speedy for Lamar Jackson to toss the ball off to, and you're good to go. So anybody there, it could be anybody there's game, for the same reasons why I'm concerned about Edwards-Helaire, because everybody was talking about Darwin Thompson last year.
Yeah. Well, and no offense to Darwin Thompson, but I think Edwards-Helaire is just a different level of skill.
I know he doesn't watch this. He's going to be so insulted.
Well, he'll be all right. Dynasty investment. I know we just kind of talked about this. Let's stay away from the obvious one, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's an obvious one for a dynasty investment. If you're not smart enough to pick that guy, that's your own problem. So let's give him a bit of a sleeper for a dynasty investment. Who you got?
I really like Claypool.
Yeah.
I think he is a monster, and he is with Big Ben, and he is going to tear down a lot of touchdowns. And you can get him very, very cheap in dynasty leagues.
I went A.J. Dillon on this one, kid in Green Bay. And I know he's playing like I'm talking about an investment. This is a guy I'm going to stash and be okay hanging on to. But that size, what they want, the way they like to run the ball in Green Bay, I think it's only a matter of time. Not to mention he's going to poach. He's got to poach. His size, he's got to poach goal line carries. Has to. So that's my guy for a stash. Put him out there, let him sit, let him marinate, use him when you need him. And I think that's a guy, like, he's an injury away from being relevant. You know what I mean? From being super, super relevant. So, all right, last one, comeback player of the year. Who do you got?
Comeback player of the year. Why don't you go first, Rick?
All right. So I had two guys that I really liked here. First one on the list, you kind of mentioned him a little bit earlier. My first comeback player of the year, T.Y. Hilton. I know it's another homer pick, but he had such an off year last year. He couldn't stay healthy. He had literally the worst passing, like the worst quarterback statistically in the league thrown. Colts were number 32 in the pass last year. Okay. That's not going to happen this year. And although I don't think T.Y. is the spring 25-year-old chicken he once was, that man can still go get the football. And I see him kind of being the Keenan Allen, right, type guy that Rivers had in San Diego. So I think T.Y. is going to go get that deep ball, and Rivers is definitely going to throw it to him. I'm excited about it.
I'm going to go Ben Roethlisberger.
That's a really good pick.
And to a lesser extent, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Ooh. Same kind of reasoning with T.Y. there, right? Like,
well, so Juju
to actual throws.
Yeah, so Juju lost his Juju last year.
He lost
because
the Juju.
Very, very, very bad quarterback play. He is going to finish top 10 wide receiver with a 4th or 5th round value in the draft. He's going to bring back a 1st, 2nd round value.
You think that much, huh? That's a big fantasy. Yeah, it's a big fantasy.
Write it down, my man.
Hey, that's where I think T.Y. is going to be a top. I don't know that I'm ready to say he'll be a top 5 wideout, but he might be. His talent's there. We know the talent's there. So we just got to make sure they have quarterbacks. We got to make sure these old quarterbacks out there can actually throw the ball to our guys. So All right.
Absolutely.
Well, George, appreciate you being on the inaugural edition of the video blog for us today. That I just realized I haven't come up with a name